The maintenance tunnels beneath station hummed with the constant throb of recycling processors and atmospheric generators. Maya crawled through the narrow service duct, her coveralls already stained with 3 different types of alien grease. The emergency light on her helmet cast dancing shadows on the corrugated metal walls as she followed the trail of sparks that shouldn't exist. For 2 weeks, reports had been coming in about strange electrical anomalies in Section C lights flickering in patterns that made no sense. Power surges that every diagnostic scan. The station's alien engineers had thrown up their forearms and declared it a mystery beyond their considerable expertise. That's when Chief Maintenance Officer Torres had looked at Maya with that expression she knew too well. He'd said, "You're the only human crazy enough to crawl into spaces that would give a claustrophobia. Find out what's eating our power grid before the administrator decides our department needs downsizing." Maya paused at a junction where 3 tunnels met. The sparks were stronger here, tiny golden lights that danced like fireflies in the recycled air. She'd seen electrical discharges before, but these moved with purpose. They spiraled and dove, clustering together before spreading apart in complex patterns that reminded her of something she couldn't quite place. She pulled out her scanner and swept the area. The readings made her frown. The electromagnetic signature was unlike anything in the station's database. The energy patterns showed characteristics of plasma discharge, but the temperature readings were all wrong. Plasma should have melted the tunnel walls by now, yet the metal around her remained cool to the touch. A soft chittering sound echoed from the tunnel ahead. Maya froze. The noise came again, barely audible over the mechanical symphony of the station's life support systems. It sounded almost like singing. She crawled forward more carefully, her pulse quickening. Maya had been working maintenance on frontier stations for 8 years, ever since the Galactic Trade Authority had opened these routes to human commerce. She'd seen plenty of strange things: crystal formations that grew overnight, bacterial colonies that painted murals on bulkheads. Once, an entire ecosystem of microscopic organisms that had somehow survived in the vacuum between hull plates. But this was different. The tunnel opened into a small maintenance chamber, one of dozens scattered throughout the station's infrastructure. Maya's illuminated a space roughly 10 feet square, filled with conduits and monitoring equipment. And there, nestled in a tangle of fiber-optic cables, was the source of both the sparks and the singing. It was no bigger than Maya's fist, roughly spherical but constantly shifting shape like a blob of liquid mercury. The creature's surface rippled with patterns of light that pulsed in time with its soft melody. Tiny tendrils of energy extended from its body, caressing the cables with what looked almost like affection. Maya had never seen anything like it, but she recognized what it was doing. The little being was feeding on the electrical current, sipping power from the station's grid with the delicate touch of a hummingbird drinking nectar. The sparks she'd been following were just the overflow, excess energy the creature couldn't absorb. "Well, hello there," Maya whispered. The singing stopped instantly. The creature contracted into a perfect sphere, its light dimming to barely a glow. For a moment, Maya thought it might disappear entirely. Then, slowly, cautiously, it began to brighten again. Maya remained perfectly still. She'd learned long ago that patience was the key to dealing with unknown alien life forms. Quick movements and loud noises had ended more than one first contact scenario in disaster. The creature extended a tendril of light toward her helmet lamp. Where it touched the beam, tiny sparkles cascaded like golden snow. The chittering song resumed, softer now, almost questioning. "I'm not going to hurt you," Maya said gently. "You're beautiful." The creature pulsed brighter, cycling through shades of gold and amber that made Maya think of sunset on Earth. It was clearly intelligent. The way it had instantly hidden when she spoke, then cautiously investigated her light, showed reasoning capabilities far beyond simple animal instinct. Maya's mind raced through the implications. Discovery of a new sentient species would normally mean calling in and sealing off the area. But that would also mean removing the creature from what was obviously its chosen home. Worse, it would mean paperwork, investigations, and quite possibly the little being ending up in some research facility. She'd seen that happen before. Maya made a decision that would have horrified every regulation manual in the Galactic Trade Authority. She reached into her toolkit and pulled out a small data pad. Working slowly and carefully, she began documenting the creature with her personal equipment rather than through official channels. The being watched her work with obvious curiosity. When Maya held up the data pad to take a scan, it brightened considerably, as if it enjoyed being the center of attention. The electromagnetic readings were fascinating. The creature existed in a state that seemed to bridge matter and energy, solid enough to maintain coherent form, but ethereal enough to interact directly with electrical systems. "You're some kind of energy being, aren't you?" Maya murmured, studying the readings. "Probably from a high-radiation environment. That's why you need the electricity. It's food for you." The creature sang again, a complex melody that rose and fell in harmonious patterns. Maya found herself humming along unconsciously. There was something about the sound that resonated on a frequency deeper than hearing. Her communicator crackled to life. "Report, you've been down there for 3 hours." Maya glanced at her chronometer in surprise. Time had seemed to flow differently in the little creature's presence. "I found the source of the power fluctuations, Chief. It's complicated." "Complicated how?" Maya looked at the creature, which had dimmed again at the sound of the radio. "I need more time to assess the situation. The problem isn't dangerous, but the solution requires a delicate approach." Tors sighed audibly through the calm. "You've got until end of shift, but I want a full report. The administrator is breathing down my neck about these anomalies." "Understood." Maya clicked off the communicator and turned back to her new friend. The creature had moved closer, its tendrils now touching the edge of her tool kit. Where the energy made contact, small sparks danced across the metal surface. "You like the electrical field from my equipment, don't you?" Maya asked. She pulled out a small power cell and held it toward the being. "Here, try this." The creature's response was immediate and joyful. Light cascaded through its translucent body as it wrapped delicate energy tendrils around the power cell. The battery didn't drain. Instead, it seemed to resonate, glowing brighter as the creature fed on the electromagnetic field rather than the actual stored energy. Maya smiled. "You're not stealing power at all, you're just sharing it." Over the next hour, Maya observed the creature's behavior patterns. It was remarkably social for something that clearly lived alone in the station's tunnels. Every action seemed designed to communicate. When it fed, it sang. When it was curious, it extended tendrils of light. When it was content, its entire body glowed with warm, golden radiance. The more she watched, the more Maya became convinced that this wasn't just an animal. The patterns in its song were too complex, too structured. The way it responded to her voice suggested language comprehension. When she spoke about technical concepts, the creature's light patterns shifted to match the rhythm of her words. "You understand me, don't you?" Maya asked. "Not just the sound, but the meaning." The creature pulsed twice, bright and clear. Maya's heart jumped. 2 pulses for yes, she decided to test the theory. "Can you count? Flash once for 1, twice for 2, 3 times for 3. The creature's response was immediate. 1 flash, pause, 2 flashes, pause, 3 flashes. Then, as if showing off, it continued the sequence all the way to 10. Maya laughed with delight. "You're not just intelligent, you're brilliant." The being glowed brighter, its song taking on what sounded almost like harmonious laughter. But Maya's joy was tempered by growing worry. This tunnel was scheduled for major maintenance upgrades next month. When the work crews arrived, her new friend would be discovered. Given the creature's obvious intelligence, the authorities might classify it as a protected species and relocate it to a research facility. At best, it would be moved to some sterile habitat where it could be studied. At worst, Maya had heard stories about what happened to unique alien specimens that showed unusual capabilities. She spent the rest of her shift teaching the creature basic communication protocols. It proved to be a remarkably quick learner. Within 2 hours, they had established a basic vocabulary of light patterns. 1 pulse for yes, 2 for no, 3 for question. Complex concepts were harder, but the creature seemed to understand spatial relationships and simple mathematics without difficulty. When it came time to leave, Maya felt genuinely sad. "I have to go," she explained, "but I'll come back tomorrow." The creature's light dimmed noticeably. It extended a tendril toward Maya's hand, not quite touching but close enough that she could feel the warmth of its energy field. "I promise," Maya said firmly. The being pulsed once, yes. Maya made her way back through the maintenance tunnels with her mind racing. She needed help, but who could she trust? Most of her colleagues would follow regulations to the letter. Torres was a good man, but he'd never approve of hiding the discovery of a new species from the authorities. Then she thought of Dr. Sarah. Sarah worked in the station's biological research division, officially studying bacterial contamination and air quality. Unofficially, she was known for her strong opinions about alien rights and her vocal criticism of exploitative research practices. If anyone would understand the need to protect the little creature, it would be Sarah. Maya found her in the hydroponics bay, tending to the vegetables that supplemented the station's food supplies. Sarah was a small woman in her 50s, with graying hair and sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She looked up as Maya approached, immediately noticing the grease stains and tired expression. "Long day in the tunnels?" Sarah asked. "You could say that." Maya glanced around to make sure they were alone. "Sarah, if you discovered something that could change everything we know about energy-based life forms, but reporting it would probably mean subjecting an intelligent being to invasive research, what would you do?" Sarah set down her pruning shears and studied Maya's face carefully. "That's a very specific hypothetical question." "Maybe it's not hypothetical." For a long moment, Sarah said nothing. Then she walked to the bay's entrance and locked the door. "Show me." Maya had hoped Sarah would understand, but she hadn't expected such immediate trust. "It's in the maintenance tunnels, the creature I found." "Sarah, it's beautiful and intelligent, and completely helpless against what the authorities will do to it." "How intelligent?" "It can count. It understands language. It's been living in our power conduits, feeding on electromagnetic energy without causing any real damage. The power fluctuations we've been experiencing are just overflow from its feeding process." Sarah nodded slowly. "Energy-based life forms are theoretical possibilities, but we've never found conclusive evidence, if what you're saying is true." "Come and see for yourself." They made their way through the maintenance tunnels together, Sarah following Maya's lead through the narrow passages. As they approached the chamber where Maya had found the creature, they could hear the soft, chittering song echoing through the air ducts. "My God," Sarah whispered when her light illuminated the small being. "It's singing." The creature had grown brighter since Maya left, its body now roughly twice the size it had been that morning. When it saw Maya, it pulsed 3 times in the pattern they'd established for questions. "Yes, she's a friend," Maya said. "Sarah, meet our stowaway. Little one, this is Sarah. She's going to help us figure out how to keep you safe." The creature extended a tendril of light toward Sarah, who held perfectly still as the energy field brushed against her hand. Where it touched, tiny sparkles danced across her skin. "Incredible," Sarah breathed. "The bioelectric field is unlike anything I've seen. It's almost like it's reading my nervous system." The creature's song changed, becoming more complex. Multiple harmonies wove together in patterns that seemed to shift between mathematical precision and emotional expression. "It's trying to communicate with you," Maya realized. "The song changes depending on who it's interacting with." Sarah pulled out her own scanner, a much more sophisticated device than Maya's maintenance equipment. The readings made her gasp. "Maya, this creature isn't just energy-based. Look at these molecular patterns. It's partially existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously." "What does that mean?" "It means this little being might be one of the most complex life forms in the known galaxy." Sarah's voice was filled with awe and growing concern. "If the research authorities get their hands on it." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Both women understood the implications. "There has to be something we can do," Maya said. Sarah studied the scanner readings for several more minutes, her expression growing increasingly troubled. "The creature is growing," she said finally. "These energy patterns suggest it's in a juvenile phase. In its natural environment, it would probably continue developing until it reached maturity." "How big do you think it gets?" "I have no idea, but Maya, look at this reading." Sarah pointed to a specific pattern on her scanner. "The creature isn't just feeding on our electrical systems, it's learning from them. Every time it touches a different circuit, it's absorbing information about how our technology works." Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the tunnel's temperature. "You think it's dangerous?" "No," Sarah said quickly. "I think it's the opposite. I think it's trying to understand us. But if the authorities discover a juvenile alien intelligence that can interface directly with our computer systems," she shook her head grimly, "they won't see a lost child looking for help. They'll see a potential security threat." The creature seemed to sense their distress. Its song became softer, more soothing. It moved closer to Maya, its energy field wrapping around her hand like a warm embrace. "It trusts you," Sarah observed. "In all my years of research, I've never seen an alien species show such immediate acceptance of human contact." "So what do we do?" Sarah was quiet for a long time, studying both the creature and the scanner readings. Finally, she spoke. "There's a trader who comes through here regularly. He's unconventional, deals in exotic specimens and rare materials, but he's also known for his ethical standards, if we could convince him to take the creature somewhere safe." "You're talking about selling it?" Maya felt a surge of protective anger. "I'm talking about finding it a home where it can develop naturally, away from research facilities and government oversight." Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. "Maya, this creature is growing fast. In a few more days, it'll be too large to hide in these tunnels. We need to act quickly." Maya looked at the little being, which had now wrapped itself around several of the nearby cables. Its light patterns had become more complex even in the time they'd been talking, suggesting rapid learning and development. "How do we know this won't just sell it to the highest bidder?" "We don't," Sarah admitted. "But I've done business with him before. He once refused a fortune for a rare crystal formation because he learned it was actually a nursery for microscopic organisms, if we can make him understand what this creature really is." The communicator on Maya's belt crackled. "Shift change in 30 minutes. I need that report." Maya looked at Sarah, then at the creature. The little being pulsed 3 times. Question. "We're going to find you a safe place," Maya promised. "Somewhere you can grow up without anyone trying to hurt you." The creature glowed brighter, its song taking on what Maya had learned to recognize as its happy melody. "Tomorrow," Maya said to Sarah, "can you arrange a meeting with?" "He's actually scheduled to dock tonight. I can contact him through the trader's communication network." As Maya prepared to leave for the end of her shift, the creature extended a tendril toward her tool kit. This time, instead of just touching the equipment, it seemed to be reaching for something specific. "What is it?" Maya asked. The being guided her attention to a small emergency power cell clipped to her belt. When she unhooked it and held it out, the creature wrapped itself around the device without draining it. Instead, the power cell began to glow with the same warm light that emanated from the creature's body. "It's giving you a gift," Sarah realized. "It's charging your equipment with its own energy." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. In all her years of working with alien technology and encountering strange life forms, she'd never experienced anything like this. The creature wasn't just intelligent, it was kind. "Thank you," she whispered. The being pulsed once, then settled back into its nest of cables, its song becoming a gentle lullaby that followed Maya through the tunnels long after she'd left the chamber. As she cleaned up and prepared her report for tours, Maya's mind was already racing ahead to tomorrow. One way or another, she was going to make sure her new friend found a safe home, even if it meant breaking every regulation in the book. The little creature had trusted her with its life. She wouldn't let it down. The next morning would bring new challenges, difficult decisions, and the beginning of an adventure that would change everything Maya thought she knew about the galaxy and humanity's place in it. But tonight, as she lay in her small quarters listening to the hum of the station's systems, she smiled at the thought of the gentle being singing its lullabies in the maintenance tunnels below. Tomorrow, she would help it find its way home. Maya woke to the sound of her communicator buzzing insistently. The chronometer beside her bunk showed 3:47 hours, 3 hours before her normal shift started. Her heart immediately jumped to thoughts of the creature in the tunnels. "Here," she mumbled, trying to sound more awake than she felt. "Maya, it's Sarah. You need to get down here now. Something's wrong with our friend." Maya was pulling on her coveralls before Sarah finished speaking. "What kind of wrong?" "It's grown again significantly, and the song has changed. It sounds distressed." Maya ran through the corridors, dodging the few maintenance workers who were already starting the early shift. The station never truly slept, but these pre-dawn hours were the closest it came to quiet. Her footsteps echoed off the metal deck plates as she made her way to the access tunnel that led to the creature's hiding place. She found Sarah already waiting at the tunnel entrance, her scanner in hand and worry etched across her features. "The electromagnetic readings started spiking about an hour ago," Sarah explained as they crawled through the maintenance shaft. "I came to check and found it like this." The sound reached them before they entered the chamber. Where yesterday the creature's song had been melodic and harmonious, now it was discordant, almost frantic. Multiple tones clashed against each other in patterns that hurt to listen to. When Maya's light illuminated the chamber, she gasped. The creature had indeed grown, now roughly the size of a basketball. But more alarming was its behavior. Instead of the calm, controlled movements she'd observed before, it was agitated, its form constantly shifting between different shapes. Tendrils of energy lashed out erratically, striking the walls and conduits with enough force to leave scorch marks. "What's happening to it?" Maya whispered. Sarah consulted her scanner, frowning at the readings. "The energy patterns are chaotic. It's like it's trying to process too much information at once." As they watched, the creature suddenly contracted into a tight ball, its light dimming to almost nothing. The frantic song became a low, mournful wail that made Maya's chest ache with sympathy. "It's scared," she realized. She moved forward carefully, speaking in the same gentle tone she'd used the day before. "Hey there, little one. It's me, Maya. What's wrong?" The creature's light flickered, brightening slightly at the sound of her voice. It extended a trembling tendril toward her, but pulled back before making contact. "Something spooked it," Sarah said, studying the scanner readings. "Look at this. The electromagnetic signature shows it had contact with a much more complex electrical system sometime in the last few hours." Maya felt ice in her stomach. The main computer core is 3 levels up from here, if it found a way into the primary systems. They both understood the implications immediately. Station's main computer controlled everything from life support to artificial gravity. If the creature had accidentally interfaced with those systems, it could have accessed information that would overwhelm its young mind. Worse, if it had left any trace of its presence in the computer logs, the station's security protocols would trigger automatic alerts to the authorities. "We need to check the main systems," Sarah said grimly. "I'll go," Maya said immediately. "I have maintenance access to all the computer bays. If there's evidence of intrusion, I can try to cover it up. And I'll stay with our friend. Maybe I can figure out what it encountered and help it process the experience." Maya squeezed through the tunnels with desperate urgency. The main computer bay was located in the station's central core, a heavily secured area that required her highest-level maintenance credentials to access. As she made her way through the corridors, she practiced the story she'd tell if anyone questioned her presence there so early in the shift. The computer bay was thankfully empty when she arrived. Maya accessed the main diagnostic terminal and began running searches for anomalous activity. What she found made her blood run cold. At 2:47 hours, the system had logged unauthorized access to the cultural database, the linguistic analysis protocols, and most alarmingly, the communications array. The intrusion had lasted exactly 17 minutes and had left behind electromagnetic signatures that were clearly not of human or known alien origin. But the worst discovery came when Maya accessed the communications logs. The creature had somehow triggered the station's emergency beacon. A distress signal containing detailed scans of an unknown alien life form had been transmitted automatically to Galactic Authority headquarters. Response time for emergency signals was typically 12 to 18 hours, depending on ship availability. They had maybe half a day before the authorities arrived. Maya frantically began altering the logs, using every trick she'd learned in 8 years of maintaining complex computer systems. She changed timestamps, modified file signatures, and created false error reports that would explain the anomalous readings. It wasn't perfect, but it might buy them some time. Her communicator buzzed. "Maya, you need to get back here now." Sarah's voice carried a note of amazement rather than alarm, which was somehow even more worrying. Maya sealed the computer bay and ran back through the maintenance tunnels. When she reached the chamber, she found Sarah staring at the creature with an expression of absolute wonder. The little being had grown again. It was now roughly the size of a small child, its energy form more stable and defined than before. But most remarkably, it was no longer making random sounds. It was speaking. Not in any recognizable language, but the patterns were clearly linguistic. Complex phonemes and grammatical structures flowed together in a melodic stream that was hauntingly beautiful despite being incomprehensible. "It accessed our linguistic database," Sarah explained, her voice filled with awe. "It's been teaching itself to communicate. As if responding to their conversation, the creature turned toward Maya. Its voice shifted, taking on tones and rhythms that were almost familiar. Maya, it said, the word distorted but recognizable. Maya felt her knees go weak. It said my name. It's been practicing for the last hour, Sarah said. Maya, this isn't just intelligence. This is linguistic genius. It's learning human language faster than our best translation algorithms could process an alien dialect. The creature moved closer, its form now stable enough that Maya could make out what might have been facial features in the swirling energy patterns. Maya, safe, home. The simple questions, spoken in a childlike voice that was part harmony and part electronic distortion, broke Maya's heart. We're going to find you a home, she promised. But we have to hurry, the authorities are coming. She quickly explained what she'd discovered in the computer logs. Sarah's face went pale as she absorbed the implications. 18 hours at most, Sarah said grimly. Maya, I contacted last night. He agreed to meet us, but he won't arrive until this evening. That might not be fast enough. The creature had been listening to their conversation with obvious understanding. Now it moved between them, its voice becoming more urgent. Help, safe, please. The trust in those simple words hit Maya like a physical blow. This incredibly intelligent being, capable of learning human language in a matter of hours, was asking for her protection with the innocent faith of a lost child. We'll think of something, Maya said firmly. I promise. Over the next few hours, they worked frantically to prepare. Sarah used her research credentials to gather supplies. A portable containment unit designed for energy-based research specimens, emergency rations, and most importantly, a small fusion battery that could provide the creature with a stable food source during transport. Meanwhile, Maya continued her regular maintenance duties, all while using her access to station systems to monitor for any signs that the authorities had responded to the emergency signal. The communications array showed no incoming traffic yet, but that could change at any moment. The creature, meanwhile, continued its remarkable linguistic development. By midday, it was speaking in full sentences, its vocabulary expanding at an astonishing rate. It seemed particularly drawn to concepts related to family, home, and safety. Where come from? It asked Maya during one of her visits. We don't know, Maya admitted. Maybe from a star, someplace with lots of energy. The creature's form shimmered with what Maya had learned to recognize as sadness. Remember, bright, warm, family. Its voice took on a harmonious quality that suggested multiple voices singing together. Alone now. Maya felt tears sting her eyes. Not alone, we're going to take care of you. You's family now. The simple question nearly undid her completely. Yes, she said without hesitation, we're family now. The creature glowed brighter, its song becoming joyful again. It had learned to express complex emotions through both voice and light, creating a form of communication that was deeper and more nuanced than human language alone. As the day progressed, they faced a new problem. The creature was still growing, its energy output increasing with its size. The small chamber that had hidden it perfectly when it was the size of Maya's fist was becoming inadequate. Worse, the electromagnetic emissions were growing stronger, making it harder to hide from the station's sensors. We need to move it, Sarah said during an afternoon planning session. The energy signature is approaching levels that will trigger automatic detection protocols. Where every space on the station is monitored. Sarah hesitated, then pulled out a data pad. There is one possibility. Cargo Bay 7 is scheduled for fumigation tomorrow. It's been sealed, and its monitoring systems shut down to prevent contamination of the sensors. That's on the other side of the station. How do we get it there without being seen? The old service corridors. They were decommissioned when the new maintenance tunnels were installed, but they still connect to the cargo bays. Maya studied the schematics Sarah had pulled up. The route would require them to traverse nearly a mile of abandoned tunnels, some of which hadn't been inspected in years. It was risky, but it was their best option. As evening approached, ship appeared on the station's traffic control screens. Maya felt a mixture of hope and terror as she watched the freighter request docking clearance. Everything would depend on whether was the ethical trader Sarah believed him to be, or just another opportunist looking to profit from exotic discoveries. Tell me again why you trust this guy. Maya said as they prepared to move the creature. Because 3 years ago, he had a chance to sell a rare mineral specimen for enough credits to buy his own station, Sarah replied. He turned it down when he learned the mineral was actually a nursery for crystal-based microorganisms. He said some things were worth more than money. The creature, now large enough that it had to compress its form to fit through the tunnels, listened to their conversation with obvious interest. "Trust?" it asked. "We have to," Maya said. "Captain has a ship. He can take you somewhere safe, far from here." "You come too." Maya's heart broke a little more. "I can't. This is my home, my job, but you'll be safe with Captain." The creature's light dimmed with sadness, but it pulsed once in the pattern they'd established for agreement. Even in its distress, it understood the necessity of the separation. Moving through the abandoned service corridors was like traveling through the skeleton of a long-dead creature. The old tunnels were larger than the current maintenance shafts, but they were also filled with debris and obsolete equipment. Maya led the way with her portable light, while Sarah followed behind with the creature gliding silently between them. The being's natural luminescence helped light their way, but they had to be careful. If anyone saw the strange glow emanating from areas that should have been dark and empty, it would raise immediate alarms. Halfway to the cargo bay, they encountered their first obstacle. A section of the tunnel had partially collapsed, leaving an opening barely large enough for a person to squeeze through. The creature, in its expanded form, was too big to fit. "Can you make yourself smaller?" Maya asked. The creature studied the opening, then began to compress its energy form. The process seemed to require considerable effort, like squeezing all the air out of a balloon. Finally, it managed to reduce itself to roughly human size, though the strain was obvious in the way its light flickered and pulsed erratically. "Hurts," it said simply. "I'm sorry," Maya said, "just a little farther." They finally reached Cargo Bay 7 as the station's lights dimmed for the night shift cycle. The bay was exactly as Sarah had promised, sealed, empty, and free from active monitoring. Maya activated the emergency lighting, revealing a space large enough to house several shuttlecraft. The creature immediately expanded back to its natural size, sighing with relief. "Better," it said, its light stabilizing. Sarah began setting up the portable containment unit, while Maya established a secure communication link with ship. The trader's face appeared on the small screen. A weathered man in his 60s with keen eyes and graying hair tied back in a simple ponytail. "Doctor," he said without preamble, "your message mentioned a sensitive cargo transfer. I assume this involves something that wouldn't look good on official manifests." "Captain, what we're asking you to transport isn't cargo at all. It's a refugee." His expression grew more serious. "Explain." Maya stepped into view of the camera. "Captain, we've discovered a juvenile alien life form that's being hunted by the authorities. It's intelligent, peaceful, and desperately needs safe passage to somewhere it can develop without being subjected to invasive research." "What species?" "Unknown," Sarah admitted. "Possibly unique. It's energy-based, highly intelligent, and learns at an incredible rate. Captain, in the time we've known it, this being has taught itself human language and shown capabilities that could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself." Was quiet for a long moment. "Show me." Maya adjusted the camera angle to include the creature, which had been listening to the conversation with obvious interest. When it saw his face on the screen, it moved closer. "Hello," the creature said, its voice clear and melodic. "I am lost, need safe place, please help." His eyes widened. He leaned forward, studying the being through the camera feed. "How long has it been developing human language?" "Less than 24 hours, Maya said. "Impossible." "Captain," the creature said, "Maya and Sarah family now, they protect me, but dangerous people coming, need go away, you help, please." Ran a hand through his hair, clearly struggling with what he was seeing. I've never seen anything like this. If what you're telling me is true, this being could be the most significant discovery in galactic history." "Which is exactly why we need to get it away from here," Sarah said urgently. "The authorities will arrive any moment. If they capture it, it'll spend the rest of its life in research facilities." "Or worse," Maya added grimly. Nodded slowly. "I understand, but what you're asking me to do, harboring an undocumented alien without proper transit papers, I could lose my license, my ship." "Some things are worth more than money," Sarah said quietly, echoing the words she'd told Maya about's past decision. The trader's expression softened slightly. He looked at the creature again, which was watching the conversation with obvious understanding and growing anxiety. "Where would you want me to take it?" asked finally. "The sanctuary worlds," Sarah said immediately. "The independent colonies beyond galactic authority jurisdiction, specifically Haven Station. They have a policy of protecting refugees from exploitation. Haven Station is 3 weeks' travel from here, and it's not exactly a place where energy beings would find natural habitat. But it's safe," Maya said, "and the colonists there have experience with unusual life forms. They'll help it find a proper home." Studied the creature for another long moment. "How much can you pay?" Maya felt her heart sink. She'd been Hopping's ethical reputation would be enough, but she should have realized he'd want compensation for the risk he was taking. "We don't have much," she admitted. "Maybe 200 credits between us." 2 credits, the creature said suddenly. Everyone looked at it in surprise. "I heard Captain say, 2 credits, I give you 2 credits. "You don't have any credits," Maya said gently. The creature moved to the portable power unit Sarah had brought. It extended a tendril of energy toward the device, and suddenly the unit began glowing with the same warm light that emanated from the being's body. "I make power," the creature explained. "Better power, clean power, last long time, worth much credits, yes." His eyes went wide as he watched through the camera feed. "Is that what I think it is?" Sarah scanned the power unit with her equipment. The energy output has increased by 300%, and the electromagnetic signature, it's completely stable. No degradation, no waste byproducts. "It's turned a standard power cell into something that could run a small city," Maya breathed. "I make many," the creature said proudly. "Trade 2 credits for safe passage, good deal." Laughed, a sound that was part amazement and part disbelief. "Son, if you can do what you just demonstrated, 2 credits is the bargain of the century." 2 credits, the creature agreed solemnly, "for family to be safe." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. The little being was offering to pay for its own rescue with the only thing it had to give, its unique abilities. "Captain," she said, "will you take our friend to safety?" Looked at the creature one more time, then nodded firmly. "Prep for departure in 1 hour, but I want to be clear about something. This isn't just about credits or enhanced power cells. This is about doing what's right." "Thank you," the creature said simply. As they began preparing for the transfer, Maya's communicator buzzed with an incoming message from the station's traffic control. Her blood turned to ice as she read the alert. 3 Galactic Authority vessels had just dropped out of hyperspace and were requesting emergency docking clearance. They were out of time. The alert message flashed on Maya's communicator screen like a death sentence. "GA vessels enforcement, researcher, and transport requesting priority docking. All non-essential personnel report to quarters immediately. Security Protocol 7 now in effect." Security Protocol 7 meant the station was under effective martial law until further notice. No one moved anywhere without authorization. No ships departed without clearance from the Galactic Authority. "We're trapped," Maya whispered. Through the communication link, Captain's expression had gone grim. "GA Enforcement is Admiral's flagship. She doesn't respond to routine alerts. If she's here personally, someone very high up the command chain is taking this seriously." Sarah frantically checked her scanner readings. The creature's energy signature is still growing. If they do a full spectrum sweep of the station, they'll detect it within minutes. The creature itself seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Its light had dimmed to barely a glow, and when it spoke, its voice was small and frightened. "They come for me." "We won't let them take you," Maya said fiercely, though she had no idea how they could possibly keep that promise. Leaned forward on the communication screen. "There might be a way. My ship's already docked. If we can get the little one aboard before they establish their security perimeter." "How?" Sarah demanded. "The docking bays will be the first areas they secure." "Not the main bays. I'm docked at Service Port 12 in the maintenance section. It's not monitored as heavily, and they might not think to check smaller vessels immediately." Maya's mind raced. Service Port 12 was 3 levels down and half the station away. Getting there would require crossing multiple security checkpoints, all of which would now be staffed with GA personnel looking for any sign of unusual activity. "There has to be another way," she muttered, pulling up the station schematics on her data pad. "Wait," Sarah said suddenly. "Maya, remember the old waste disposal system, the one that was decommissioned when they installed the new recycling processors?" Maya studied the plans more carefully. The old disposal tubes ran throughout the station, including directly past service port 12. They'd been sealed years ago, but the basic infrastructure was still in place. "Those tubes are barely 3 feet in diameter," Maya said. "And they haven't been maintained in years. We don't even know if they're structurally sound." "I make smaller," the creature said, "like before in Broken Tunnel. That nearly killed you last time." "Better than Cage," the creature replied simply. His voice crackled through the communicator. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. GA vessels are requesting immediate boarding clearance for the station. Once they establish their perimeter, getting off this station will be impossible." Maya made the decision that would haunt her dreams for years to come. "We use the disposal tubes. Sarah, can you access the controls for the old system?" "I can try, but Maya, if something goes wrong." "Then we'll deal with it when it happens." They moved quickly through the cargo bay, gathering the supplies they'd need. The portable containment unit would have to be abandoned. There was no way to get it through the narrow tubes. Instead, Sarah prepared a small emergency beacon that would allow them to track the creature's location during the journey. The creature watched their preparations with growing anxiety. "Dangerous?" it asked. "Very," Maya admitted, "but staying here is more dangerous." "I trust Maya family," the creature said firmly. The access point to the old disposal system was located in a maintenance alcove 3 levels below the cargo bay. Maya led the way through corridors that were eerily quiet under the security lockdown. The few personnel they encountered were heading in the opposite direction, toward their quarters as ordered by the security protocols. At the access point, Sarah worked frantically to override the safety locks on the disposal tube entrance. The system had been sealed with redundant fail-safes, designed to prevent exactly what they were trying to do. "Got it," Sarah said finally, as the circular hatch began to iris open. Beyond it lay a tunnel that disappeared into darkness. Maya shined her light into the tube. The walls were smooth metal, designed for waste containers to slide through via magnetic levitation. Without the levitation system active, anything traveling through the tube would have to rely on momentum and gravity. "It's going to be like riding inside a torpedo tube," she said grimly. The creature had already begun compressing its energy form, shrinking down to a size that would fit inside the narrow space. The strain was immediately visible. Its light flickered erratically, and its voice became tight with pain. "Ready," it said. Maya felt sick. They were about to send an intelligent being through a potentially lethal obstacle course of abandoned machinery and structural hazards. If the creature became stuck, or if the compression process failed mid-journey, it would die alone in the darkness. "Wait," she said suddenly. "I'm going with you." "Maya, no," Sarah protested. "If you get caught. If I don't go and something happens to it, I'll never forgive myself." The creature's compressed form pulsed weakly. "Not safe, Maya, stay." "We're family," Maya said firmly. "Family doesn't abandon each other." Before anyone could argue further, she climbed into the tube beside the creature. The space was cramped even with the being in its compressed state. Maya activated her helmet light and checked her emergency air supply. She had maybe 30 minutes before she'd need to find breathable atmosphere. "Sarah, seal the hatch and activate the emergency propulsion system," Maya called through her communicator. "Maya, are you sure about this?" Maya looked at the creature beside her. Even in its compressed state, she could see it was suffering, but its trust in her remained absolute. "Do it." The hatch sealed with a soft hiss, plunging them into darkness broken only by Maya's helmet light and the creature's faint glow. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Sarah activated the emergency propulsion system, and they were suddenly racing through the tube at tremendous speed. The journey was a nightmare of crushing acceleration, sudden turns, and heart-stopping drops. Maya tried to shield the creature with her body as they careened through intersections and past abandoned machinery. More than once, she was certain they were about to slam into a blockage or structural failure that would end their desperate escape attempt. The creature's pain was constant and growing worse. Its compressed form flickered like a dying flame, and Maya could feel the heat from the energy required to maintain its smaller size. She talked to it constantly, offering encouragement and reassurance even though she wasn't sure it could hear her over the noise of their passage. "Almost there," she lied, having no idea how much farther they had to travel. "You're doing great, just hold on a little longer." After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, they began to decelerate. Maya's relief was short-lived, however, as she realized they were approaching a junction where multiple tubes converged. If they took the wrong branch, they could end up anywhere in the station. "Sarah," Maya called into her communicator, hoping the signal could penetrate the metal walls. "We're approaching a junction. Which way?" Static answered her. The creature seemed to sense her dilemma. With visible effort, it extended a tendril of energy toward one of the branching tubes. The tendril glowed brighter as it touched the metal wall. "That way?" Maya asked. The creature pulsed once weakly. Maya made the split-second decision to trust its instincts. As they approached the junction, she used her hands and feet to guide them into the tube the creature had indicated. The final stretch seemed to go on forever. The creature's form was becoming dangerously unstable, its light flickering on and off like a strobe. Maya began to fear that even if they reached their destination, the little being might not survive the compression much longer. Finally, mercifully, they began to slow again. Ahead, Maya could see a faint light that wasn't coming from her helmet or the creature, an exit hatch. They came to rest against the closed hatch with a gentle bump that felt like a miracle after their harrowing journey. Maya immediately activated her emergency tools and began working on the hatch controls. Behind her, the creature was struggling to maintain its compressed form. "Just a few more seconds," Maya promised. The hatch finally opened, revealing one of the station's service corridors. Maya climbed out first, then carefully helped the creature emerge from the tube. The moment it was free, the being expanded back to its natural size with a sound that was part sigh of relief and part cry of pain. "Hurt much," it said weakly. "I know, but you did it. You were incredibly brave." Maya checked her location using the corridor markers. They were less than 100 meters from Service Port 12. She could see Captain's freighter through a small observation window, its docking collar connected to the station. But she could also see something that made her blood run cold. Galactic Authority personnel were already beginning to secure the docking areas. "We need to move fast," Maya said. They made their way through the service corridors, staying away from the main thoroughfares where GA security teams were setting up checkpoints. The creature was moving slowly, still weakened from its compression ordeal, but it was determined to keep going. As they approached Service Port 12, they could hear voices echoing through the corridor ahead. Maya motioned for the creature to stay back while she crept forward to assess the situation. 2 GA security officers were stationed at the entrance to the service port, checking the identification of anyone who approached. Between Maya and the creature and Captain, ship stood 2 armed guards who would shoot first and ask questions later if they encountered an unknown alien life form. Maya retreated to where the creature waited. "There are guards," she whispered. The creature's light dimmed with disappointment. "Cannot go." "There has to be a way." Maya studied the corridor layout, looking for alternatives. The service port had a secondary entrance used for cargo loading, but it would be even more heavily guarded. Then she noticed something. The ventilation grate above them was larger than standard, designed for the heavy air circulation required in the docking areas. It might be just big enough for the creature in its compressed form. "Can you compress yourself one more time?" she asked. The creature looked at the ventilation opening, then back at Maya. Its light flickered with exhaustion, but it nodded slowly. "For family, one more time." Maya removed the grate cover and helped the creature climb into the ventilation shaft. This time, the compression seemed even more difficult. The being's form wavered dangerously, and for a moment Maya thought it might lose coherence entirely. "I'll meet you at the ship," she promised. "Captain will take care of you." "Maya," the creature's voice was barely a whisper. "What is it?" "Thank you for family." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for trusting us." The creature disappeared into the ventilation system, its faint glow quickly fading as it moved away from the grate. Maya replaced the cover and made her way toward the security checkpoint. hopping against hope that her maintenance credentials would get her past the guards. "Purpose of visit to the service port?" one of the guards asked as she approached. "Emergency repair call," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Captain reported a malfunction in his environmental systems." The guard checked his data pad. "I don't see any repair orders logged." "It just came in. Check with traffic control." The guard looked annoyed but activated his communicator. While he was distracted, Maya slipped past toward the docking collar. She was halfway to ship when she heard shouts behind her. "Hey, stop!" Maya ran. She reached ship just as the docking collar's inner airlock was opening. Captain stood in the doorway, his face grim with urgency. "Where's our passenger?" he demanded. "Ventilation system. Should be emerging somewhere near your cargo hold." Nodded and spoke into his ship's intercom. "We've got a situation. Prep for immediate departure. I don't care what clearances we don't have." The sound of running footsteps echoed through the service port. The guards were coming, and they would be here in seconds. "Go," Maya shouted. "Get out of here." "What about you?" "I'll be fine. I work here, remember. Just take care of our friend." Hesitated for a moment, then nodded grimly. "I'll make sure it reaches Haven Station safely." The inner airlock began to close just as the first security guard rounded the corner. Maya raised her hands, preparing to surrender, when she heard the most beautiful sound in the galaxy. The creature was singing. Its voice echoed through the ship's hull, a melody of gratitude and farewell that seemed to encompass every emotion Maya had never been able to express. The song spoke of friendship and sacrifice, of trust given freely and promises kept against impossible odds. The guards stopped in confusion, their weapons lowered as they tried to identify the source of the ethereal music. "What the hell is that?" one of them muttered. Ship began to disconnect from the station. Through the observation window, Maya could see the docking collar retracting. In a few moments, the freighter would be free to depart. "Maintenance worker," a familiar voice called from behind the security guards. Maya turned to see Admiral herself approaching, flanked by a squad of GA officers. The Admiral was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. "Admiral," Maya said, trying to keep her voice respectful. "I understand you've been experiencing some unusual power fluctuations in the maintenance tunnels." "Yes, ma'am. We traced the source and resolved the issue." "I see." Admiral studied Maya's face carefully. "And this resolution involved no contact with unknown life forms." Maya met the Admiral's gaze steadily. "The power fluctuations were caused by a feedback loop in the old electrical systems. We rerouted the circuits and the problem was solved." Through the observation window, Maya could see ship moving away from the station. The creature was safe. Admiral watched Maya for another long moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well. I trust there will be no further anomalies." "None, Admiral." "Good, because the Galactic Authority takes a very dim view of undocumented alien contacts. The penalties for harboring unauthorized life forms are quite severe." "I understand, ma'am." Admiral turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and that freighter that just departed. Captain has an excellent reputation as a humanitarian. The Authority has great respect for traders who prioritize ethics over profit." Maya felt her heart stop. The Admiral knew. Somehow she knew exactly what had happened. "Yes, ma'am," Maya managed. Admiral smiled slightly. "I'm told his next scheduled destination is the Haven Colony. Beautiful place, I hear. Very welcoming to refugees of all species." With that, the Admiral walked away, leaving Maya standing in stunned silence. Hours later, as the GA vessels departed and the station returned to normal operations, Maya received a message through the station's communication array. It was a simple text transmission with no identifying information. "Family safe, new home good. Thank you, Maya family. Love always. Little light." Maya smiled through her tears as she deleted the message. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, a young being was learning to grow up free from cages and laboratories, protected by a gruff trader with a heart of gold and a reputation for doing the right thing. The creature had traded 2 credits for its freedom, but Maya knew she had received the better part of the bargain. In return for those 2 simple credits, she had gained something beyond price. The knowledge that sometimes family isn't about blood or species or even being the same type of creature. Sometimes, family is just about being willing to risk everything for someone who trusts you with their life. As she returned to her normal duties, Maya whistled a soft melody that had no name. It was a song about friendship and sacrifice, about trust and freedom. It was a song a little creature had taught her in the darkness between the stars, and she would carry it with her for the rest of her days. The trade had been completed. 2 credits for a baby, as the creature would come to be known in the stories that spread through the underground networks of humanitarian traders and freedom fighters. But the real transaction had been something else entirely. 2 humans trading their safety for an alien child's freedom and receiving in return a family bond that would span the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the creature Maya had come to call Little Light disappeared into the galaxy aboard Captain's freighter. Maya had returned to her regular maintenance duties on station, but nothing felt quite the same. The tunnels seemed emptier somehow, the electrical conduits silent where once they had hummed with alien song. She was halfway through her morning rounds when her communicator buzzed with an unusual transmission pattern. The signal was encrypted and came through channels that weren't supposed to exist on civilian stations. Maya's heart jumped as she recognized the unique electromagnetic signature embedded in the data stream. "Maya family," a familiar voice whispered through the static. "Need help." Maya nearly dropped her scanner. She looked around the maintenance tunnel to make sure she was alone, then activated a secure channel she hadn't used since her military service years before. "Little Light, is that you?" "Yes, Maya family, grown much, but trouble coming, need strong family help." Maya's mind raced. The communication signal was incredibly sophisticated, far beyond anything the creature had demonstrated during its time on the station. But then, Little Light had shown remarkable learning capabilities. 6 months of freedom could have resulted in exponential development. "Where are you? Are you safe?" "Safe now, Haven Colony good home, but learned terrible thing, others like me. In cages, in laboratories, need rescue." Maya felt ice in her stomach. How many others? "Many different stages, some bobbies like I was, some adults, all trapped, scientists doing bad things." The communication crackled with static as Little Light struggled with concepts that apparently had no equivalent in its native understanding. Maya could hear the distress in the familiar voice, now deeper and more complex than she remembered. "Where are they being held?" "Research Station Omega-7, deep space, hidden from authority ships, private facility, corporate funded." Maya knew the name. Omega-7 was rumored to be one of several black site research facilities operated by Titan Industries, the largest weapons and technology corporation in the galaxy. Officially, such facilities didn't exist. Unofficially, they were where the most sensitive and ethically questionable research took place, far from any oversight or regulation. "Little Light, I'm just a maintenance worker. I don't have the resources to mount a rescue operation." "Not alone," the creature replied. "Captain has friends, good friends, traders with fast ships and brave hearts, but need someone who understands energy beings, need Maya family." Maya closed her eyes. She had a good life on station. Steady work, a comfortable routine, friends among the crew. Leaving to join some kind of underground rescue operation would mean throwing all of that away. But she also remembered the trust in Little Light's voice when it had asked for help 6 months ago. The memory of the small, frightened creature that had called her family. "What do you need me to do?" "Meet Captain at Freeport Station in 3 days. We'll explain everything then. Maya, thank you." The transmission ended, leaving Maya alone in the tunnels with her thoughts and a decision that would change her life forever. 3 days later, Maya stood on the crowded promenade of Freeport Station, an independent trading post that existed in the neutral zone between major galactic powers. She carried a single bag containing everything she owned that mattered: her tools, her emergency fund, and a small recording device that held the only copy of Little Light's original song. Captain found her easily, his weathered face splitting into a grin when he spotted her near the docking bay. "Maya, good to see you again. Come on, there are some people you need to meet." His freighter had been joined by 4 other ships: a fast courier vessel, 2 heavily modified cargo haulers, and something that looked like a decommissioned military patrol craft. The collection of vessels suggested a group that was well-equipped and experienced in dangerous operations. "Welcome to the Liberation Network," said as they walked toward his ship. We've been operating for about 10 years now, helping refugees and extracting people from bad situations. When Little Light came to us with information about Omega-7, we knew we had to act. The briefing room aboard's ship was crowded with some of the most diverse group of humans Maya had ever seen. Former military officers, ex-corporate security specialists, freelance pilots, and what looked like at least one reformed pirate. At the head of the table stood a tall woman with cybernetic implants and the bearing of someone accustomed to command. Commander Sarah Torres, the woman introduced herself. No relation to your old boss, I assume. I'll be leading this operation. Maya took a seat as Torres activated a holographic display showing the layout of Research Station Omega-7. The facility was massive, built into an asteroid in a system, so remote it didn't appear on most star charts. Titan Industries has been conducting illegal research for at least 5 years, Torres began. We've suspected it, but we've never had concrete proof until now. The display shifted to show internal station schematics. 3 weeks ago, one of the subjects escaped and made contact with sympathetic traders. That subject provided us with detailed intelligence about the facility's security systems, research programs, and most importantly, the locations of other captive beings. Maya's heart clenched as she realized Torres was talking about Little Light. The good news is that we now have someone with intimate knowledge of the station's layout and security protocols. The bad news is that Titan Industries has realized they have a security breach. They're accelerating their research schedule and preparing to transfer the most valuable subjects to an even more secure facility. Torres looked directly at Maya. That's why we need someone who understands energy-based life forms. According to our source, several of the captive beings are in critical condition. They're being forced to undergo experiments that are killing them. Maya felt sick. What kind of experiments? Research. Titan Industries is trying to harness the energy manipulation abilities of these beings to create new types of weapons and power systems. They're treating intelligent creatures like laboratory equipment. The holographic display showed several containment cells, each holding a glowing form that Maya recognized as being similar to Little Light's species. But these beings looked wrong somehow. Their light was harsh and unstable, their forms twisted by what was obviously pain and trauma. How many are there? Maya asked. 17 confirmed subjects, ages ranging from juveniles to fully mature adults. All of them have been subjected to various experimental procedures designed to enhance or modify their natural abilities. Maya studied the faces around the table. These were people who had dedicated their lives to fighting injustice, risking everything to help beings they'd never met. She felt humbled to be included among them. What's the plan? Torres smiled grimly. Our source has provided us with a way to disable the station's security systems from the inside. Once that's done, we go in fast and hard, extract the captives, and destroy the research data to prevent the experiments from being replicated elsewhere. And if Titan Industries security fights back, then we fight harder. Over the next 2 hours, Torres outlined the operation in detail. Maya's role would be to accompany the rescue team and help stabilize the captive energy beings for transport. Her experience with Little Light's unique physiology and communication patterns made her the closest thing they had to an expert on the species. There's one more thing you need to know, said as the briefing wound down. Our source insists on participating in the rescue personally. It refuses to let us risk other lives for its people while it stays safe. Maya felt her heart jump. Little Light is coming with us. It's not exactly little anymore, Torres said with a slight smile. You'll see what I mean when we rendezvous with our contact ship. 2 hours later, Maya stood in the docking bay as a sleek vessel unlike anything she'd ever seen approach the station. The ship seemed to be made of the same flowing energy that comprised Little Light's species, its hull shifting and shimmering like liquid mercury. When the docking tube connected and the airlock cycled open, Maya gasped. Little Light had indeed grown. The being now stood roughly human height, its energy form more defined and stable than ever before. But the most striking change was its presence. Where once it had seemed like a frightened child, now it radiated quiet confidence and determination. Maya family, it said, its voice now a rich harmony of tones that resonated with barely contained power. Thank you for coming. Maya rushed forward and found herself enveloped in the creature's energy field, a warm embrace that felt like coming home. Look at you, she said, tears streaming down her face. You're magnificent. I learned much in freedom, Little Light replied. Learned to build, to create, to protect, but also learned that freedom means nothing if others suffer in cages. Maya stepped back to look at her friend properly. The being's light was stronger now, more controlled. Intricate patterns flowed across its surface in mesmerizing displays that spoke of intelligence and emotional depth far beyond what she had imagined 6 months ago. The ship, Maya said, gesturing at the energy vessel. You built it. We built it. Energy beings work together differently than solid creatures. We share thoughts, share knowledge, share power. The ship is extension of self, like your tools are extension of your hands. Wait. Little Light's form dimmed slightly. Others escaped before me. Few, not many. We found each other in deep space, built community, but always remember those left behind. Tors joined them in the docking bay. Our window for the rescue operation is closing rapidly. Titan Industries is planning to move the captives within 72 hours. If we're going to do this, we need to leave now. The journey to the Omega-7 system took 36 hours. Maya spent most of that time with Little Light, learning about what her friend had discovered during its months of freedom. The picture that emerged was both wonderful and horrifying. We are called, Little Light explained, ancient people. We come from star itself, born in the fusion fires of our home sun. We are children of light and energy, meant to sing with the cosmos. How did your people end up in laboratories? Little Light's form darkened with sadness. Our home star began to die. We had to flee to find new homes among younger stars, but we are not good at hiding. We shine too brightly. When Titan Industries discovered us, they saw not people fleeing disaster, but resources to be harvested. Maya felt anger building in her chest. How many of your people were captured? Many, scattered across different facilities. Omega-7 is just one of several, but it is worst one. There they do experiments that damage our core essence, make us into weapons instead of beings of harmony. The horror of it was almost too much to comprehend. An entire species of intelligent energy beings, refugees from a dying star, being systematically captured and experimented on by corporate scientists who saw them only as potential weapons technology. Why didn't the Galactic Authority intervene? Because officially we do not exist. Titan Industries makes sure of that. They classify us as exotic energy phenomena rather than intelligent life. Easier to justify experiments on phenomena than on people. When they finally reached the Omega-7 system, Maya was struck by how utterly isolated it was. The asteroid housing the research facility was surrounded by nothing but empty space and distant stars. No trade routes, no patrol ships, no witnesses. Perfect for conducting illegal research. The station itself was a testament to paranoid engineering. Multiple defensive platforms surrounded the main facility, each armed with weapons powerful enough to destroy a small fleet. The asteroid's surface bristled with sensor arrays and communication equipment. How are we supposed to get through all that? Maya asked. Little Light's form brightened with what she had learned to recognize as determination. Watch and learn, Maya family. The being extended tendrils of energy toward the ship's control systems. Where it touched, the instruments began to glow with the same warm light that emanated from Little Light's core. The ship itself seemed to respond, its energy hull shifting and changing. Suddenly, they were invisible. Technology, Little Light explained proudly. We bend electromagnetic spectrum, become transparent to sensors. Titan Industries knows this capability exists, but they have never successfully replicated it. Because they're trying to force it, Tors realized. They're using torture and coercion instead of cooperation. Yes, energy manipulation requires harmony, not conflict. Fear makes light dim, love makes it bright. As they approached the station undetected, Maya could see other ships taking position around the facility. The Liberation Network had assembled an impressive force, but she knew their success would depend more on stealth and precision than raw firepower. Remember, Tors said over the communication system, our primary objective is the rescue of the captive. Everything else is secondary. We go in, we get them out, we leave. No heroes, no unnecessary risks. Maya gripped her equipment pack. In a few minutes, she would be face to face with beings who had suffered months or years of experimental torture. The thought of what she might find in those laboratory chambers made her stomach churn. but she also thought of Little Light's courage in returning to danger to save its people. If a young could risk everything for family, then a human maintenance worker could find the strength to help. "Maya family ready?" Little Light asked. Maya looked at her friend, this magnificent being of light and energy who had grown from a frightened refugee into a confident leader of its people. "Ready." The ship began its final approach to the research station. In the distance, Maya could see the other vessels of the Liberation Network moving into position. Soon, the night would be filled with the songs of freed and the light of justice finally served. The rescue of Research Station Omega-7 was about to begin. The infiltration of Research Station Omega-7 began at 3:47 station time, when Little Light's energy manipulation abilities allowed their ship to phase through the outer hull without triggering any alarms. Maya found herself materializing inside a maintenance corridor that looked eerily similar to the tunnels where she'd first met the young months earlier. The irony wasn't lost on her. "Internal sensors are offline for approximately 12 minutes, Little Light whispered, its voice now transmitted directly through the station's electrical systems. "Titan Industries' security protocols assume all threats are external." Maya activated her scanner and immediately picked up the electromagnetic signatures of 17 distinct life signs scattered throughout the facility. But the readings were wrong. Where Little Light's energy patterns flowed smoothly and harmoniously, these signals were jagged, unstable, some barely registering as coherent at all. "They're hurt," Maya said, her voice tight with anger. "Worse than hurt," Little Light replied, its form flickering with distress. "They have been broken, forced to channel energy in ways that damage their essential nature." Through her earpiece, Maya could hear updates from the other team members as they infiltrated different sections of the station. Commander Torres had reached the central computer core, was disabling the external communication array, and the former military specialists were neutralizing security checkpoints throughout the facility. Maya and Little Light made their way toward the laboratory levels where the captive were being held. The corridors here had a sterile, clinical feel that made Maya's skin crawl. Everything was white and chrome, designed to be easily cleaned and sanitized. Easy to remove evidence of what happened here. They reached the first laboratory chamber just as Maya's scanner detected a massive energy discharge from the level below them. Through the observation window, she could see a roughly twice Little Light's size suspended in some kind of containment field. The being's light was harsh and unstable, pulsing erratically as electrical current was fed into its energy form.